Take a listen. This is the sound of a coffee machine. It's something that many of us hear every day. But what if I were to tell you that the audio this machine produces can change the perceived taste of the coffee it makes? Back in 2012, scientists found that by changing the acoustical properties of an Nespresso coffee machine, it increased taste ratings by 10%. Now, acoustical product engineering is not a new phenomenon. Manufacturers have been modifying the sounds of food products for decades, ranging from the crunch of crisp packets to the sounds made by pouring and opening of beverages. Aside from taste, sound plays a surprisingly important role in our interactions with food and drinks, including anticipation, consumption, what we order, and even how much we are willing to pay. Sound is ubiquitous, and whether we like it or not, changes our appreciation of the products we enjoy. In this audio article, we're going to take a look at 3 sonic areas that influence the perception of coffee. These are background noise, the impacts of music, and a developing area of scientific research, sonic seasoning. First up, noise. Excessive background noise in cafes and restaurants is the second most common complaint behind lousy service. The ambience you hear in the background is the in-store sound of a typical city cafe recorded here in Bangkok. There's a lot going on, possibly more than you might normally be aware of, but the overall sonic effect impacts customers in a variety of ways. It goes without saying that visual and tactile elements are vital for brand perception and customer experience, but these are simpler to manage. We can change the color of walls, add logos, or just buy new furniture. But controlling retail auditory environments presents unique sonic challenges and a design element that is sometimes overlooked. During peak times, audio levels in cafes and restaurants can be in excess of 90 decibels. That's pretty loud. By comparison, traffic, vacuum cleaners, and lawnmowers are often measured as lower than this. Excessive noise impairs our ability to perceive flavor, affecting all 5 common taste senses, including sweetness, bitterness, and acidity or sourness, often present in coffee samples. Noise also reduces our perception of smell. Citrus and chocolate, typical qualities used to describe coffee aroma, have been recorded as 5% less detectable in loud environments. One of the big challenges facing cafes and outlets is that modern retail design often features hard surfaces, heavy use of glass, and high ceilings, which are not great absorbers of acoustic energy and allow sound to bounce around rooms, adding to the din. Getting the right music is incredibly important for customer experience. Recent studies have found that consumers will pay up to 11% more by having the right mix of background music. This is something that Starbucks knows well and takes in-store music very seriously. During its history, the company has launched its own record label and now collaborates with streaming service Spotify to create a range of apps and applications for customers and staff. Choosing music for your cafe or brand is challenging, but listen on for a few things to consider. Let's start off with music volume. Excessive volume dulls the overall taste of food and drink, including coffee. A recent study showed that desirable properties in a coffee sample were reduced when loud background music was present, resulting in a lower willingness to pay for products. Ever wonder why some bars and cafes can be deafening? Well, research shows that loud music causes us to consume more drinks, reduces our ability to judge alcohol levels, leads customers to eat and order more junk food, and increases sales of sugary drinks. It's been reported that global chain Hard Rock Cafe deliberately plays loud music in their restaurants to encourage customers to talk less, consume more, and leave quicker. On the other side of the decibel spectrum, lower music volume might make us choose something that is delicate and healthy, encouraging customers to spend more time and money and eat and drink at a more leisurely pace. Now, music volume is also age-specific. Younger customers generally prefer louder volumes to that of seniors. Abercrombie & Fitch have gone so far as to play pop music at excessive levels to intentionally discourage older customers from entering stores in order to maintain its youthful brand focus. It's also worth noting here that volume preferences are regional. Consumers in Singapore are likely to enjoy lower music levels than their counterparts in Tokyo, and something that operators should factor when considering customer demographics. Aside from volume, musical tempo and style also influence coffee retail experiences. Faster tempos increase how much and how quickly we drink, and as you might expect, the opposite holds for slower beats. Some US franchises now use playlists with varying tempos linked to specific times of day. For example, faster music is played during busy lunches and at peak time to drive higher table turnover, and slower tracks can persuade customers to hang around during afternoon lulls. Studies show that people chew faster depending on the tempo of the songs that they're listening to and literally eat to the beat. Jazz is a common style of music associated with coffee drinking, and studies suggest that listening to jazz while enjoying a brew can lower the perception of bitterness and astringency. However, the propensity of jazz in cafes seems to be a bit of a cliche. A quick search of streaming services and you'll find a raft of playlists featuring a host of different artists and styles curated by major coffee chains including Costa and Tim Hortons. An important consideration when choosing music is psychological sensation transference. In simple terms, if we like the music playing in the background, chances are that we'll also enjoy the taste of our coffee. Studies suggest that customers listening to music that has positive emotional qualities are willing to pay more and perceive better taste. Now, think about it. I'm going to play a couple of tracks here. Which one would you rather drink coffee to? Either this track or this one? Answers, of course, will vary, but it does show the importance of retailers getting the right music for the best customer experience. Sonic seasoning, in simple terms, is the deliberate pairing of pitch, music, or specifically composed soundscapes to intentionally modify the flavour of food and drinks. It's part of a fast-growing area within cross-modal science with a considerable body of peer-reviewed research. So, what is cross-modal science? In simple terms, when we cognitively process an event, we don't just use one sense at a time, and our brains kind of mix messages, which in turn can alter our perception. Sonic seasoning attempts to connect cross-modal correspondences that exist between sound and taste, and has appeared in commercial applications on a range of products including beer, wine, champagne, chocolate, whiskey, and recently with coffee. In the culinary world, renowned chef Heston Blumenthal has used sonic seasoning in his 3-star Michelin restaurant, The Fat Duck. As an accompaniment to a fish course, customers were provided with an iPod playing back the sound of the sea. This was done to revive sensory memories, raise consciousness, and ultimately enhance flavour perception. Though the impact of this real-life application of sonic seasoning was never peer-reviewed, it had a hugely successful global impact on PR and food writers. Now, let's try a quick sonic seasoning experiment of our own. Have a listen to 2 pieces of music that have been specifically composed to modify bitterness and sweetness perception, common tastes associated with coffee. As you're listening, decide which one of the 2 you think represents the sound of sweetness and which one sounds bitter. Track 1. Track 2. You possibly thought the first example represented sweetness, and the second one bitter. I've left longer examples of these 2 tracks at the end, so that if you like, have a go and experiment next time you have a cup of coffee and see if they change your own perception. So, how does this work? Our perception of sweetness is widely matched to higher musical pitches, the sounds of pianos and harps, and consonant chords. On the other hand, bitterness is associated with lower pitches, rougher musical timbres such as that of a brass instrument, and dissonance or notes that clash. In the future, I'll probably do an episode specifically on sonic seasoning, but it's a really interesting area to see how it can impact the taste of coffee. Researchers, retailers, and owners in the food and beverage industry have known for a long time that audio plays a significant role with in-store atmospherics, and aside from visual and tactile aesthetics, retailers should seriously consider how sound impacts customer experience. Background noise in music selection in retail settings can influence choice, consumption, spending, taste, our emotions, and even how long we stay in a cafe or store. Sound is everywhere. It can and does make a psychological impact. We're also, as humans, biologically and psychologically designed to not ignore sound. We really can't block our ears without taking significant measures, and we'll react to a baby crying, or going back to caveman days, if we hear the sound of a lion while we sleep, we're going to get up. Now, going back to coffee, in short, if customers don't like the sound of an environment, it makes a negative impression on the perceived quality of food and drink served. My role as a sound designer is to provide research-based audio solutions for the food and beverage industry. By connecting good food and good sound, I try to help companies develop auditory experiences, sonic branding, and acoustic strategies to enable them to stand out and increase customer satisfaction. Thank you very much for listening. If you'd like to reach me on email, you can find me at gary@tabemono.co.uk. That's GARY at tabemono.co.uk. As promised, here are the 2 full-length audio samples that you can try and experiment at home and see if it modifies the perceived taste of your coffee. This is the first one. It is designed for a sweet response. And here's the second one for a bitter response.